This review is very late. Again, that couldn't be helped. But oh my god, it's an episode that really hits the heart. It's Ducktales. Woohoo. That's basically what you can say about this episode. The mystery of Della Duck is finally solved, and it turns out the theorists were all correct. Della Duck really did go into space. However, the truth about the spirit of Celine, the disappearance of Della Duck, is way more tragic than we thought. And unfortunately, this episode shows that if you don't communicate in the right way, people will misunderstand. The episode starts though with some comedic moments where Bettina Beakley joins them on an adventure to a place where they are all gonna go on a new adventure style while Donald Duck is fixing the ship. Turns out that's why he hasn't been seen so very much. He has been fixing the ship, which he actually finishes in the ending. Oh yeah, it's Angry Anime Fan here to bring you this episode. Sorry for late introductions. But the rest of this episode is actually played on the Sunchaser, which is actually the name of Launchpad ship. I didn't know that. And Beakley points out how much it breaks so many safety violations. About 14, maybe more. It is pretty funny to see how Launchpad is so casual and is so about safety. But in real life, that would of course be very scary. And likely Louis also gets very scary through all this. Eventually, the kids have managed to find a shredded piece of paper that they think will finally tell what really happened to Della Duck. And unfortunately, they lose the last peach and do some moments where Dewey says, finally the mystery, and the others just say to him, just grab the piece. But as they have crash landed, well, not crash landed, but they are stuck on a mountain pile, they unfortunately cannot move extremely well as before. Well, there are some precise moments here and there, including some comedy moments of watching Darkwing Duck's end credits, including the names of the actors who played them. But it's pretty funny when the characters just ba 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 da ba 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 da ba 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 da ba ba da or something like that. I don't know how to say it. Although, as much as I want to sing the Darkwing Duck song, let's spare your ears bleeding for now. It finally escalates to the fact that when the last piece of paper is flying outside the ship on the motor, Dewey, desperate to finally find out the truth, decides to grab the piece there. He's successful, while of course Scrooge tries to protect Dewey from all this. So he demands to know what is the spirit of Celine as he looks at the paper. And so Scrooge finally tells the story. Long ago, as we all have seen, Donald, Della, and Scrooge were adventurers. They had conquered just about everything. Well, everything that existed in the Ducktales universe. And when I mean universe, I mean their Earth. So the only thing they haven't experienced was, of course, the ship. So Scrooge wanted to build a ship to take them, well, after the boys were gonna be hatched. Of course, Donald didn't want Della to go out up in the ship, mostly because, well, her triplets were gonna be hatched soon. So Scrooge built the rocket in secret, but Della, who was very good at finding out secrets, after all, we saw the pranking, managed to take the ship, go up in space. Scrooge tried to talk her through it, but unfortunately lost her in a storm, where we presume Della perished. Or has she perished? It is not known. I think this scene is apparently taken from something comic book scene, where it said that Della actually went into space and never came back. While Scrooge says this with very huge pride, unfortunately, the triplets all snap at him, saying that he didn't spend a single spent money on saving Della. The fact that he didn't even tell her to turn back, and the fact that he even built that ship to do it. Eventually, it escalates to the fact that Scrooge angrily tells them to not understand the fact that what he did. That Webby tries to put an end to this, but then Scrooge lashes out against her, and Bettina, having been tired of Scrooge's apparently not safety precautions, snaps at him as well, and then finally the ship crashes, although not dangerously. After hearing the truth, the triplets move back into the bodega, the little ship, while Bettina takes Webby, who, even though she has been jailed by Scrooge, is actually very sad at looking at the angry and grumpy Scrooge. Even Duckworth, who we actually see as a ghost, is actually taking a vacation. And then Scrooge enters a new room where he sits on a floor with a grumpy face very similar to when we saw him the first time in the comic book series. When he was hostile and grumpy. And then we finally see the whole truth to it all. This is what really happened. Scrooge wanted to build that rocket and then do the trip, but only after the triplets was gonna be hatched. But Della, who actually turns out, this contradicted a little bit what Celine said. Celine said that Della loved her family and put them above everything else. However, while it may have been true, it's a little bit contradicting what this episode is actually saying, because this shows that Della was secretly selfish, or in a way, just her love for adventure overcome that of her family, because she found out about the secret and wanted to take it on a test drive, probably thinking she could make it, because after all, she was the niece of Scrooge McDuck. And Scrooge actually tried to tell her to turn back, but Della ignored it, and then the signal was lost. And then everything else was made clear. He did spend a lot of money. In fact, do you remember the first episode? We see his bill, how little money he has. Well, it's a reason for that. Turns out the sheep Scrooge actually did spend a lot of money rebuilding replica rockets and even astronauts, hoping to find somewhere to find Della, but the astronauts went all the way. Eventually, the vultures cut his funding from that way. And the reason why Donald and Scrooge never talked again is because also Donald misunderstood the situation. He thought that he built a rocket so that Della then could do its spacecraft. But no, Scrooge was intending to build it and keep it a secret, but only reveal it after the triplets were gonna be hatched. But that didn't happen because of Della. Eventually, it's revealed that Scrooge is not to blame for Della's disappearance. Della herself is, because she was just being so careless and wanting to have that one adventure. She is the real one to blame for all this, not Scrooge. Scrooge just did what he thought was right, which was building a rocket. But in the end, it wasn't, and he communicated this message totally wrong to his entire family. So it's extremely heartbreaking to see the final shot of this episode, where after he remembers what everyone said to him, that he was greedy, that the fact that he didn't spare any expense, that he didn't care about family, just as Donald said to him once, and even Bettina, who said, "Well, you push your family away, I hope you're happy." And then with tears, Scrooge just say, "I am." Truly, it's an episode that hits here. An 8 out of 10 for me. This episode really hit my heart. It's heartbroken to see Scrooge like this. But as much as Scrooge is not to blame for this, what is to blame for him is the fact that he is full of pride and he just couldn't communicate right to his family. So even though he's not to blame for Della's disappearance, the only thing he is to blame is the fact that he didn't foresee what Della was gonna do, because he did build the rocket after all. A rocket that Della designed, mind you. But he really did care for family. He really did. And the reason why he never talked to Donald again is because he felt Donald betrayed him. He just wanted to get back Della. And Donald never ever knew about that. Heartbroken indeed. A very heartbroken episode. What were your thoughts on this episode? Give me your thoughts if you have any. Like and subscribe if you want. See you all in the next one, because the next one will be the finale.